Thank you, Conroy, for that excellent presentation. Oh, I need that. I was just saying, Conroy, thanks for that great presentation. I really love that approach, and I'm going to kind of build on it in my last comment. So, good morning, Tansei, and bonjour. My name is Randy Wimmer, and I'm joined by my colleague and friend, Dr. Gillian Robinson. And we're here to present, kind of in response to what Chris was asking about a systematic review of academic and applied literature. So, our major finding was it's not really queer enough for us. So that comes as no surprise to many of you. So we've been, over the past year, conducting what's called a scoping review, and it's a systemic review process of both academic and gray literature. We're going to focus mostly on academic literature this morning because this is a research showcase, but we do want to highlight some of the very promising and exciting things that we're seeing in the gray literature. And so we're looking at what facilitates queer and trans entrepreneurship, what serves as barriers, and also what are the gaps and weaknesses in our current literature. And so our work is framed by the following three research questions. And I want to say at the outset, I think there are a couple of really unique things with our approach. First of all, every step of the way, we've conducted everything in both French and English. And so that, to me, in my experience as a researcher, is quite a novel and necessary approach. So Gillian has led the French part, and I've led the English part. And it's been really, really important that we not just do it all in English and then translate everything, because meaning gets lost in translation. Our thinking, our images, our sense-making differs between language. So it's been extremely important for us that we've done everything in both French and English. The second thing that I'm really, really proud of that distinguishes our research is that our research team is extraordinarily diverse. I think we need to have researchers with lived experience doing this type of research, and that's what we present. As researchers doing equity-centered work, again, we see things different. Just like my comment around language, our lived experience enables us to see things much, much differently. I also am very, very proud of this research project. Has really given opportunities to beginning researchers who are from equity-denied communities. And even though we work in universities, our world is still filled with challenges and barriers for equity-denied folks. By way of methodology, we followed a protocol that's designed specifically for scoping reviews. We began this work last year, and as per the protocol, we worked very, very closely with academic librarians, an essential step. And even though I teach in my classes about scoping reviews, I personally had never done one until this massive project. So it was hands-on learning right from the beginning. So we worked with librarians right from the start, designing the research, coming up with search terms, and we identified 17 academic databases that we conducted a search on. A part of the protocol asks for us to actually meet physically at one time and one place and do everything together, thus increasing trustworthiness and reliability. And so we did that last spring. We didn't know whether we would be spending an hour together or 4 days together. You keep on going until you're finished. So it was a really, really super exciting day for us. Don't get too excited, but our initial results revealed 6,000 things that met, or 6,000 academic results that met our search terms. The database system that we use automatically took out duplicates, so we were left with what looks like still an impressive 3,800 results. Then in partners, we went through every one of those 3,800 results, and our net result was 120 what I call useful results. Are they helpful? Are they good? Not really, but they met our inclusion criteria. And I'm going to turn it over to Gillian to get us started on what we call early impressions or some of our preliminary findings.
Thank you, Randy. And just to mention that working with Randy and the team right from the beginning, we also fostered a lot of joy. And we had a ton of fun doing this and coming up with our own sort of like, there's the official search terms and there's the official exclusion and inclusion criteria. But we also really enjoyed, hence our title, kind of like, is it actually queer? We would often say like, is it gay enough? And then are we actually talking about entrepreneurship? Often it was not sort of about that idea of like becoming economically self-sufficient. It was more about social enterprise, for example, or like exchanging of ideas in a way that we had a difficult time sort of really qualifying what entrepreneurship meant. So what we found was, as you saw, when you quantify it, so many of the results that returned, despite our search terms specifically trying to solicit entrepreneurship related to gender, related to queerness, related to transness, so many of our results were completely irrelevant. So of the ones that were relevant, what we found was frustrating was that the academic literature still takes a very deficit-based approach towards queer entrepreneurship. It mentions, for example, just a deficit lens, risk factors. It talks about STIs, for example, rather than presenting the strengths of our communities. Whereas a lot of the gray literature has shifted into understanding more of a competency-based framework, promoting the incredible strengths of entrepreneurs all across Canada. So it's really this explosion of positive gray literature, as in not academic studies, where we know that this is happening, lots of reporting on this, but at the same time, the field has not caught up in our universities and our institutions. Instead, queer entrepreneurship is still being studied from a very deficit-based lens. Another very interesting result was that so much of what was returned to us, because we use search terms including gender identity, talked about women entrepreneurs, but in a way that reinforced a binary and a very cis binary. And instead, so we got all these results returned that actually had nothing to do with 2S LGBTQIA communities. Instead, they were really reinforcing an important social political lens that women entrepreneurs are also equity denied, but in a way that really categorized men and women alone and kind of left out many of our important, amazing entrepreneurs. What else, Randy? We really enjoyed, one of the things that was so essential was that not only did we work in partners, but we worked separately in partners so that people could look distinctly at whether or not something fit into those categories. And it was interesting to see near the end, I felt a lot of us sort of wanted to have more results almost, that we were rejecting so many things from the academic literature just because it is almost non-existent. And so then Randy had the difficult task of deciding yes or no, of kind of being the judge on whether those things fell into our research topic or not. Yeah, I think that's our main. Thanks.
Thank you, Gillian. Gillian mentioned joy in our process. And I'm not sure what people around me on the floor thought on our search day, but my office was filled with screams, with tears, and lots of laughter. Those things are extraordinarily important to me as a researcher, as a supervisor of beginning scholars. Maybe just a couple of things to add to Gillian's excellent analysis is that very few of the works actually talk about situating the researcher, locating the researcher. I think that's extremely important, but very little of the works actually the researchers didn't situate themselves. Second of all, Gillian mentioned these strong binaries. That comes as no surprise. That's the way our world is sadly organized. But very few of the works, if any, actually adopted intersectional approaches. So it was entrepreneurship from a woman's perspective or from a man's perspective, but there were very few, if any, intersectional approaches. And then the last thing I want to comment is kind of moving forward. And so our early analyses don't surprise us. Along the way, everyone says, are you actually finding stuff? And yes, we are. How good it is, you've heard our comments. But we are left feeling terribly excited about what we observe outside of this immediate research project as what Gillian refers to as an exploding and emerging field of possibilities for practice and for scholarship. Our project provides a solid foundation for new and exciting research possibilities, including richer qualitative research done alongside queer and trans communities and people. So building on Conray's observation is that we need more qualitative approaches. This research needs to be led by queer researchers and queer and trans community members. Possibilities for future research include life history research and other narrative and storied methodologies from a strengths-based approach. We could do a series of case studies that could be considered along with methodologies like participatory action research and other community-based research approaches. And finally, and I think we'll hear a bit more about this throughout the day, finally, there's a real need for and possibilities for more arts-based and community approaches to our research. So thank you very much for your time. We look forward to learning more. And thanks, Gillian.